Solidify!
Motion to compel!
Stabilize! Solidify!
Boom boom! Ha! Let me scry!
Stabilize!
Born of ice and frost! Motion to compel! Delve into destiny! Access denied! Incinerate! Shadows of fate!
Solidify!
Let's move. That seemed to work.
Boom boom! Ha!
Have a load of this.
Let me scribe.
Cook this through.
Access denied. Motion to compel. Delve into destiny. Blink. Yeah. The more, the merrier. The systems shine no longer. Shadows of fate.
Classifying gate. This one's well done.
Gather!
No touching. Let me scry.
No slacking off!
You need to hurry up.
Shadows of fate.
Well done.
Solidify!
No touching.
Stabilize.
Born of ice and frost. Motion to compel. Let me scribe. Access denied. Incinerate! Delve into destiny.
Solidify.
Motion to compel. Let me scribe.
Solidify.
Delve into incinerate!
Stabilize.
Access denied. Let me scribe. Fate is upon me.
This is order. Solidify.
Born of ice and frost. Delved into destiny. Boom!
Time to stabilize.
The insolent shall be punished. Are you here to play with me? I heard you.
Gather.
Lose myself a little.
Gather! Stabilize! Stabilize! Gather!
Access denied. Incinerate! Let me scry.
Stabilize!
Motion to compel.
Where do you want to go next? If you'd like to see Liyue's tourist spots, I have a few references. One man's stone is another man's gem. One man's stone is another man's gem. Unsolicited, and all the more valuable for it.
of ice and froth. Motion to compel. Decided by destiny.
I will have order. Solidify.
Incinerate. Let me scry.
Stabilize.
Delve into destiny. Finding treasure is pretty exhilarating. Access denied. Boom boom! Let me scribe. Fate is upon you.
Order guide you. Stabilize.
Motion to compel. Shadows of fate. Incinerate! Delve into destiny. No touching. Let me scribe.
Gather!
Born of ice and frost. Motion to compel. Written in the stars.
Right. This is order. Gather!
Boom boom! Delve into destiny.
Gather!
No touching. Let me scribe. you.